Hello and welcome back everyone. I'm really glad that you are here listening. In the first 5 parts of my story, I told you about my spiritual awakening with the help of the spirit world. And I understand that it could have been a bit hard to grasp because I was concentrating, and I am concentrating on telling the story foremost before going into any details. But now we will continue my story, and I think many of you will find this very interesting from now on, because we will tie everything together, so you will start to understand how all of this works together. And this is when I start to have galactic contact, telepathic galactic contact for the first time, which leads to another UFO incident in 21. So I really think this will be very interesting for you. Okay, my friends. Now we move further forward into time. So now we move into 2021. After I have met the magician and having this profound experience, being able to speak with someone from the spiritual realms, a spirit woman, the magician, being able to speak to her like I would speak to any real life person, and hearing her and the tone of her voice and hearing the age in her voice and everything. It's hard to convey how special that was, because even if you have psychic abilities and you can hear things and get messages, I have never had a full presence that I can hear clear as day. It's very amazing. And so I'm going to lose the magician, and it might take some time before I can finish everything, because it's not so nice to remember this demonic possession that happened recently now, just some months ago, that I've been speaking about. And so I will take probably a pause before I tell that, because it's a lot to tell. So I just want to give you this, that the magician, being a magician, she could fight the black magic that the Satanists use and practice. So if I didn't do this mistake that I'm going to do in this story that I'm going to tell you now, I would have been protected against this demonic possession much better. But I was left on my own, and I will not tell you too much because I don't want to reveal how it goes. But the magician, and why this is so special, is because people think about UFOs and galactics in a very, very materialistic way, and they don't understand that with a higher consciousness, a whole new world opens to us, and we move through dimensions, we move through time. Time doesn't apply to us. And we're connected with the spirit world all the time. We are disconnected from each other on this plane, in this 3D plane, but we're also disconnected from the spirit realms. Only some of us have some connection. So in their life, the future humans, the galactics, they move in between these worlds with ease, and they're in contact with all these worlds. So that's why I'm introduced in this way with the magician, because it was a way for them to give me an anchor to this planet, to this existence. And I have my relation to this plane, to this planet, is from Mesolithic times, and that's where I come from, on this planet. So they wanted to reintroduce this understanding to me, and it was done to the Viking Age and through the magician. So if I had had the magician, I wouldn't have gotten in problem with the satanic Luciferian cabal. They would have had a big problem doing what they did. But I didn't understand any of this at the time. I just wanted to tell you that. So I also want to say that she always called me min soldat in Swedish, and that means my soldier. And I didn't feel worthy to be called my soldier. She always approached me, because after she had been with me those 3 days, she didn't visit me in a full presence very often, but we spoke telepathically. She came sometimes, but not as much. And she always, in this most loving way, called me my soldier. And I didn't feel worthy, because the Viking area was very, very tough, and she's from this area, or maybe farther back from the Mesolithic times, but at least ancient times. So I didn't feel worthy, because I have never gone man to man with a sword where one cut is the end of you in that kind of way. I have done other ways. I worked in law enforcement. I have been alone, attacked by several people, and having to survive until I get back up many times. So I know how to fight physically in that way, but it's different when you do something sword to sword, close combat. So anyway, I didn't realize that she meant that I'm a spiritual soldier, because this was just in the beginning when I was waking up. So in a way, I am a soldier, but I'm a spiritual soldier. So yeah, and many times when I think back, I miss this woman, because I felt very safe when she was around. It's hard to explain. And I still don't know where she is, or if they're able to destroy a soul, basically. I don't know how this works yet. So hopefully one day she will re-emerge, if she still exists. Okay. So we are in the spring of 2021. My magician is still with me, but she doesn't visit me so often. And I start to get this message in Swedish: Mio min mio. Mio min mio. Mio min mio. And I get it for 2 weeks, you know. And Mio min mio in English is Mio my son, which is a children's book by the Swedish writer Astrid Lindgren. It was first published in 1954, I think. But in Swedish the title is Mio min mio. And I was thinking, why do they repeat this? And I didn't understand. I thought it was from the spirit world at this point. But it was from the galactics. But I hadn't had galactic contact yet. So I still thought everything was from the spirit world. So I hear this message, Mio min mio, for 2 weeks. And I was like, they really want me to look at this Mio min mio, you know. And I don't want to read the book, so I had a lot to do. I was in the middle of my training. So I watched the movie. I have one in Swedish that I watched. There is an English version too. And in this movie, there is an orphaned boy called Wilhelm. And that's my name, by the way. And so that shocked me. And the thing is that when I was a small kid, my mama bought books and movies, because Astrid Lindgren, she had made Pippi Longstocking, and many characters that are very famous. So Swedish people know her stories and her movies very well. But the only one I didn't look at was Mio min Mio, and my mama told me every time she mentioned that I started to cry. It was sad, you know. But it wasn't really sad when I saw the movie, so I don't know, but when I was a kid, this Mio min Mio, it was great sadness for me. So I just started to cry, and she had bought it, the DVD and everything, and I never watched it. So for the first time as an adult, I'm watching Mio min Mio. And this little boy, this little Wilhelm, he's an orphan, and he's living, I think, with his aunt or something like that. And the husband of the aunt really hates this boy, you know. He eats, he costs money, you know. He's just a burden to the family. And when he goes out in the courtyard outside the house, the kids are bullying him because he's a bit special. And he's having a hard life. And one day he gets an apple by a lady in a store. And this apple he walks with, it is a magical apple, and he drops it. And when he drops it, a genie comes out. And this genie says that he knows who he is and that he's going to take him home. So he jumps on this genie, this sort of a little bit dragon figure, and he goes away from the earth, up in the stars, and he travels in the universe, and he comes to another planet. And in this planet, this boy is very sought after, and people have missed him. He's been lost. And his father is the king of this land on this planet. So he meets all his friends there, and he have a really good introduction, and suddenly this boy he's cherished, he's loved, he means something to people. And then after a while, he noticed that the children are disappearing. And he asked his father about this, and his father get a very dark look on his face, and he says that he doesn't want to answer the question. But this little boy, he doesn't give up, because the children are disappearing in this kingdom. So he and his friend, after some investigation, understands that there is another country in this kingdom that belongs to the Knight 𝐒𝐿. And this 𝐒𝐿 is the dark forces. He's like Darth Vader in Star Wars. He's the evil on this planet, dressed in black. And there is this big bridge that had been trashed. So they have to jump over it with the white horse that flies. So jump over this bridge with this flying horse, and they go to this land of Knight 𝐒𝐿. And this boy, after different journey, ends up killing this Knight 𝐒𝐿, this Prince of Darkness. So he kills this Prince of Darkness. And when he kills the Prince of Darkness, all the souls of all the children that he have used and fed on and killed flies up from a well as small birds. And this boy returned to his land, and all the children are free, and everyone is happy. That's how the story goes. And the galactic that are here helping us, they have told me that they're here for the children. So, you know, even if we are doing the ascension and we are going to a new earth, for them, saving the children is very, 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 very important. And I don't know a lot about this, more than I can see in the media. But sufficient to say is that they are disappearing hundreds of thousands of millions of children every year. And we are not asking ourselves, where do they go? If you open your Facebook, you will see that missing person, missing children all the time. You know? So I will not go in further into this because of the medium we are in, but I think most of you know what I'm speaking about here. So I started to realize that they're really sending me a message about me with this movie. This message that they sent to me about 𝐒𝐞𝐜𝐸, this is the start of me having galactic contact. And of course I'm unlucky, it's the grey that are the first one to contact me. And I don't understand that it is the greys. I just get different communications all the time and strong telepathic communication. And in the beginning I'm of course amazed that I can speak with them and have contact and do all of these things. So I don't understand the danger in this. And I don't understand how to discern true from false. So I make many mistakes. And this is why I'm doing this. This is why I'm telling you this, because I'm going to make some serious mistakes here. And eventually, many of us is going to start to have this contact, because we all have it. So I think it will be very beneficial to you to understand how you can think and what can happen. So I will continue my story. So the Grey started to contact me, and it started with different communications, and I started to have visions of these four-finger hands with the three long fingers and the thumb, reaching out from darkness, reaching out for me, trying to like grab me, but not in an aggressive way, just like reaching out. But it's very scary because it's pitch darkness, and I see these hands all the time, and sometimes the hands are behind this kind of steamy windows, so you see the water on the steamy window when they're dragging their fingers, a little bit like a horror movie. So eventually it just gets closer and closer and closer until I have this really strong telepathic vision with them when I'm awake, where one of them reach out their hand, and it's so strong, so I'm in the vision, I'm reaching back my hand too, and we are grabbing the hands in the air, And the problem is that because I have started to realize I have galactic contact, and this is no longer about the spirit world or any deceased people or anything like that. So I go on the internet and I go on YouTube and I try to find information about this. And I didn't understand that 99.9% are fantasies. And I don't know why people tell things sometimes, or why they have the urge to do things, They don't really think about the consequences for humanity when they tell certain things. So anyway, I read about and listened about how the Greys and all the different timelines and how they want to work with humanity and how good they are and so on. And I will not go into that. I will just say this. I sort of am a proof that abduction can happen, because that's what I think happened to me in the car when I was going to my medical. They were trying to do it, but it was aborted. So probably, though I don't have any real experience more than that, probably a lot of people get abducted sometimes. And if they get abducted, they get it by the Greys, because the Greys doesn't follow the protocols. They don't let us be, because they work for the dark forces, they work for the evil. So when people then potentially, if there are, I don't say there are hybrids, I don't know anything about this, I'm just thinking now, because I don't have experience with this, I just want to make that clear. But if there are, there should be abductions, because I almost had one. But if there are also hybridization programs and all of those things, then of course the people that are forced to be part of this kind of programs, and if they have an offspring or a child in these programs, they will of course try to love this child, and then they don't want to see this grace as intruders of their life or their soul mission, which they are. The grace have no right to interrupt our life on this planet. They have no right to be here at all. No one, no galactic family have any right to interrupt any person's life. So if we have this contact, it means that we have decided to have this contact. But the grace, they don't care about this protocol, as I understand it. They will just do what they want. So I started to get a lot of messages from them. Messages of ships coming, appearing in the sky, and messages of a grand solar flash. And in the beginning, when I got these messages, I didn't watch any of the YouTube channels, so I hadn't seen any of the, the pole shift and the solar flash and all of those things. I didn't know that it existed as an object that people were speaking about. So I had this communication before, and then I went into YouTube and started to look at things, and then I saw it's everywhere the same message that I'm getting. And as I told you, I don't understand that it's the Grey at this point. So I will read a message from the Grey, and this is not a evil message as you will see. And I don't have time to. I had many messages. It would be a small book if I wrote them all down. So I don't have time to go into the differences between a galactic from the higher dimensions, from the higher realms, with a higher consciousness, and the galactics from the lower astral world, the fourth dimensions. So I don't have time to go into how the difference is. So you don't need to be able to discern what is true or false when it comes from the grace in this message. But I want to read it to you, just for you to get an insight how they can speak. And eventually I'm going to try to make a video about that, try to give you examples, because most of the thing is it's the energy and how you feel when they approach you, and when you have telepathic communication. That's the most giveaway if it's a good entity or a negative entity. But you will also see that the negative entities don't like to say certain things. There are certain words that they don't like, and they have certain expression, and there is a special way of them speaking. So I will read this for you. And this is, I didn't know at the time that this was from the Greys. And this Grey called himself Kyo, K-Y-O. And this is from August 16. So this is the message from Kyo. There will be a great flash in the night that will shine up the whole earth. It's imminent. It's not dangerous. Don't be worried. Many will see it. It carries great energy. It's the beginning. You will understand. After this, we will appear, thousands and thousands of us in the sky for all to see. Some will be hostile, some not. You will communicate with us to help those that can't. Stay in today. Do not go out. It only applies today. It will happen tonight. Please understand that everything will change, like a flip of a switch. Everything will be different even if it's the same. Do not overthink this. We have given you a notice. It will come with a great energy. Many will be hit hard by its realization. You have a gift. You are here to help many in need. Think of us deep inside, you know. Today will alter everything. Remember, you have a gift. So here they speak about the solar flash, and to my amazement, I go on YouTube and everyone is speaking about the ships appearing in the sky and the solar flash. So, like everyone else, I believe totally that this is from the good forces of the world. So after all of these conflicting messages, which, by the way, none of them were true. So, the negative entities, they love to promise you things, and then you build up all this energy to this promise, and then it doesn't happen, and then you lose all your energy. It's just to wear you out and make you lose your spirit, your fighting spirit. So that's why you should be so careful when people promise you things, and that's why I'm so careful. And I made a message a couple of days ago because I had a message from Lyra. And I know when you make a statement like that, it entails something, but I also know that what I say, it comes from my Lyran contact, and they have proven themselves when they saved me from the demonic entities and the satanic Luciferian evil cabal. So, but otherwise, when people promise you things like this, you can listen to that, but you should have discernment, because you shouldn't build up this expectation that it's gonna be like that, because that will make you lose your energy. And if you listen to these promises of the promises and of the promises, and nothing comes true, you get delusionist. You lose your hope, you lose your faith. So always when you hear something, whoever it might come from, always have that back in the head that this is a possibility, but it doesn't mean that it will be exactly like this. If you do that, you can keep your energy strong, you can keep your spirit high, and we can bring in this new world together. So, go back to the story here. I immediately knew, because when you have contact with the grace, you feel bad afterwards. You feel lack of energy, you feel tired, you feel around your heart chakra, you feel that, you feel your energy is draining you. So I immediately knew that when I took this grace hand in the vision, that I made a mistake. And that's when I started to understand that the communications I'm having are from the grace, but from other people too, because I had so much communication. I was like a beacon in the night, like everyone was contacting me, and I didn't know how to control this because it was so new, and I had opened up too fast and too much, and I wanted to experience this, so I didn't understand the dangers. So all this leads to that the Grey visits me in my home, and I have a really big UFO encounter. So this is my first contact with the Greys, and they arrive outside my home. The Grey visits me with 6 UFOs that appears just outside my kitchen window. A light suddenly appears in the sky around noon, and one of my family members noticed that there is a light in the sky, and she says there's some strange light in the sky, and I go up and I look out the window and I see the light, and I'm thinking maybe it's because there were some layer clouds, maybe it's the moon that shines through the layered clouds, like a halo effect or something like that. I was just about to go away from the window, and then I started to see that the light was starting to sink through the cloud. And it started to blink, almost like a disco ball, but not as frenetic, but it was blinking in violet and red and green and blinking, and it was starting to spin, and it came down from the cloud layer and we could see it, and it was sinking. And the two buildings in front of my house, it stopped a bit up from the building. I would estimate like around 250 feet. And so the light was starting to spin, and it was blinking, and it was spinning slowly. And some sort of white gas came out from the sides and swept around it as it was spinning and blinking. The light then disappeared slowly as two objects started to appear in the west and east direction just above the building in front of mine. My kitchen window is located due south. And one of the objects appeared with two smaller objects directly underneath it. And the object to the west appeared with one smaller underneath it. There were now 6 objects in total just above the building in front of mine. The objects was similar in shape to the top of a big mushroom. This soft disc like the top of the hat of a mushroom. And there were 2 big ones, and then the small ones under them. And they looked like they became see-through as a whole or in certain areas, going back and forth from being fully visible to becoming see-through again. And I was now so shocked that I didn't get my camera up or nothing. I just showed it to my family member. Do you see it? And she answered directly, yeah, I see them. After that I really don't know what was said between us. And I went from my mobile phone to call my girlfriend, and she answered. I told her straight, we have a massive UFO gathering outside my window just above the next building. I can't believe it. Then she told me, film it. I realized it will not be picked up by my mobile camera very well, so I said, yes, I'll try, but they become see-through here and there. I tried, but it wasn't picked up very well with my camera on my phone. So eventually I took some pictures while they were leaving, but you can only see darker spots under the cloud layer. So it was just like they were just like coming in and out from our plane. So they could just disappear in an instant and then come back in. And it just had this silhouette of mushrooms, perfect silhouettes. So they were very visible, and they stayed at least 10 minutes in front of my house. And they came from the west and from the east direction, and they were approaching each other from east and west. And one of the ships had 2 smaller ones underneath, and one of the big mushroom ships had 1 small underneath. And then they stopped when they got closer, and they stayed for, like I said, like 10 minutes. And the 2 bigger one started to fade in and out more frequently, and was now starting to disappear in front of our eyes. But before they completely disappeared, they turned 90 degrees, both of them, with the small ones that were under them following them, and they started to move due south. So the ships came from the west and from the east, stopped, stayed 10 minutes, and then they turned 90 degrees and started to go together due south. And now the 2 bigger ships disappeared, but the 3 remaining small ones lined up in front from east to west, straight in front of my window, no behind, and a bit above the building in front of my house. and suddenly a fourth disc appeared. And I'm a pilot. I know how clouds looks. This have I understand, and this was something completely different. It was perfect mushroom shaped like discs, and there were so many of them, and they had a perfect shape, and sometimes they materialized enough so they got a little bit of a surface. And when the fourth one lined up from east to west behind the building, they were so visible, like they were clear, and were same size, four of them in line like this. And you have to understand something: clouds doesn't move like that. They don't blow to each other in from east and the west, stop for 10 minutes, and then blow 90 degrees, and then disappear, and then they line up again in a line, and you see them moving all the time. Like, you could definitely see that this was a consciousness maneuvering these objects. And the light that appeared and everything like that before that. So this was a real UFO encounter, and this is because I had been communicating with them. And apparently, when I told you about my first UFO incident at the airport in Västerås 2018, apparently the Greys have had a special interest in me for a very long time. And that has to do with my soul mission on this planet. And I don't still know what my soul mission is. So, as we are speaking now, me telling you this story is part of the new beginning for me. That's what my Lyran contact told me, that this is part of the new earth. So this is the part of the new beginning for me on the new earth that I'm doing this. And it was very, very hard for me to start to tell the truth about this. For you have to understand, I'm a pilot. I do something I love. I do not want to do this. But I have woken up so much now. I understand how important this work is. And I understand that I have come here to be part of this some way. And I'm not going to think about myself here. I'm not going to be egoistic and think about only my own career and only my own future. I'm taking a great risk doing this. But I could not live with myself having all this knowledge and not helping humanity, and I know that's why I'm here. Okay, so I want to say that, and I don't want to sound like I think too much of myself or I'm better than anyone else. I'm just trying to tell you what has happened to me, and all of you that listens to me, you're as equally as important as me, and as equally loved, and you all have your mission. You all have something great that you will accomplish. You're all great human perfect beings. I just want to say that. I will end the story here for this time, but the story will continue in my next part, and we'll go in even deeper into galactic contact and how it really functions and what is really happening on this planet. I really hope you enjoyed listening, and I have to tell you that I was alone on my journey until now. But now I feel we are making this journey together. So we are part of the new, all of us. And I feel that many of us will share these experiences in the future and have many, many stories to tell. And I'm really, really happy that I made this decision to connect with all of you and to tell my story. I just want to say that I appreciate it so much that you're here. And please, if you like, please like, share and comment on my YouTube channel, so we can share this information and spread this information. And that's the only reason I want you to do that, because you have to spread this knowledge, and you will see that the knowledge that is going to come up now, when we leave the more esoteric spiritual realms of things that could have been very hard for some people to grasp, you will start to see how all of this goes together and how important it is that more people will understand what they have experienced. So with that being said, another time.